Hello, my name is Jay Chauhan. I'm a lawyer in Richmond Hill, and I'm preparing this video for my legal group called Angel Mentorship Group. But what I have to say today in terms of how to plan your day to achieve your goals in the short term and the long term will apply to anybody who wants to get things done in life or in the profession. So let me begin by saying, first of all, how do you get the most out of your day? And so first you begin by making sure that you slept well. There's enough medical evidence that suggests that if you sleep well, you think better, your memory works better. So the shortcut of trying to do too much the night before in terms of your hours does not help you for the following day in terms of your achieving the maximum productivity of the following day. So get to know your hours of sleep and make sure that you sleep well. And then in intense professions, including medicine, law, this is very fundamental actually. So it is not a good idea that you try to increase your hours. If you're top executive in the business, the same principle applies. So I think that principles of how you manage your day is fundamental in your long-term career and achievement of your goals. So start the day with writing your goals down. Why write it down? Because it clarifies your thinking. So I sit there every single day and write on a piece of paper. I keep a little book with me on which I write my notes by the topic of what I'm going to achieve in that particular day. And then writing it down gives you clarity of thinking. So even if it takes time and you're too busy, once you get into the rhythm, you'll recognize that the following certain path in terms of your routine is a fundamental difference in the long term of how much you've achieved in your goals by working through the day efficiently. What it also does in terms of writing your goals for the day is to give you the focus. If you don't have that focus, then your mind at your subconscious level is constantly worried that you're not done enough, you've not achieved your goals. That subconscious feeling can make you feel upset and more tense than you need to be. So after you start your day and you mark your goals, at the end of the day also review what you did achieve and tell yourself that you have done the best you could do for the day. And over time, when you get into the rhythm, you'll discover that your productivity has improved enormously. So I've used this technique and put it this way, that I've done a number of objectives which I won't go through right now, and difficult ones, including being a lawyer, judge, writer, etc. And they all were done by using this methodology. So when you write your items a day, another word of advice is that do not try to do everything on that day, right at that moment. The reason for that is that difficult goals and long-term goals, even for a lawyer, let me give you an example. You want to draft a difficult statement of claim. If you're a businessman, this is in a business of a certain type you want to set up, and a part of it is, say understand the market. It is better not to do too much in the same day. You reflect on how much you can do in a day to figure out what is possible in that day towards the long-term goal that you have in mind, and then work at it in terms of what you can achieve in that particular day. By doing it over a time period, but in segments, enables you to clarify your thinking, improve your strategy, improve your understanding, and achieve much better than you're trying to do everything in a shorter time. So I think quite contrary to very often I think that motivators try to tell you that do it today, do it right now, and do more what you can do is, in my opinion, from my experience, not a good strategy. So each person is a little bit different, but the rhythm of the day and what you can do in the day and knowing what you can do and creating that habit of doing it is much more productive than simply telling yourself, do more and more. So in fact, you should, those what I call type A personalities who go on the top professions, really need to work more at the rhythm of the day and how to slow down rather than increase their motivation to do more. So I think in terms of the checklist, when you have a particular item to do, then first of all, in all situations, no matter how complex they are, it is possible to identify the key issue in your mind, actually. So let me give you, if you're a lawyer, let me give you an example, actually. You have a statement of claim that you're drafting and you identify the cause of action. So if you sit down and just draft is not as important, in my view, as identifying the cause of action. If you have to just sit back and think and talk to the client or do the research and then identify the cause of action is more important than simply saying, I need to draft the claim and I'll just finish it and then I feel like I've done something. So I think that focusing should also be done in your daily checklist by writing out that particular item that is relevant in any task you do, not just as a lawyer, but even if you're not a lawyer, what is it that you need to do to focus on the particular item of the day. And then you concentrate on completing that particular identifiable item and then do everything around it. And very often you'll see that the emotional resistance that you encounter is the real challenge in terms of completion of the goals, because every item that you do in the day has an emotional impact. But particularly for those who are lawyers, you have to keep in mind that we are in a very confrontational environment. You want to win the case, you want to challenge the opponent, and therefore there are extra emotions of conflict and identifying yourself with the cause of the client, and therefore a bigger turmoil. If you're downtown in a big office, all the other supporting work is done for you, and you're simply concentrating on the particular file. If you're in a small office like mine, then you have to think that in the day you have to include the items that you have to pay your electrical bill, your utilities, manage the office, look after other lawyers and other people, support staff, and make sure that everything else is working correctly. So I carry checklists for everything, including office management, annual checklist for filings required for the law society, insurance, etc., your CPD hours, and then watch it and make it a part of your daily routine so that you don't come up with a deadline and then start dealing with it. This is a very common problem because emotionally we think that you are engrossed in your routine of the day and you engage in that particular task, so there is no emotional limit that you put on what you have to do to finish that task. So when you create a checklist, it's important to know that you have what I call limit engagement for yourself of what you will do. And when you have done it, learn to then shift your mind to another activity. So in our case, each case that we do as the lawyers has an emotional impact on you, because that client situation, I mean, I've got a case right now, actually somebody in a wheelchair, not getting the trust monies, and you really have to think about what you're going to do to help the client, because what you do can fundamentally change the client's future. If you're doing a purchase of a business, when you have a title you give to the client with a reporting letter, then you completed the task and it's a part of your daily routine, which you do to complete the long-term objective. So you have to keep the focus and keep the long-term goal in mind when you prepare the item that you're working on, which is corresponding with the long-term goal that you want to achieve. But in achieving all these things, if you haven't practiced the rhythm of the day, then what happens? I was talking to two lawyers today and how they react actually. And I think what I learned from that is that many people probably, especially those starting the practice, some lawyers never give a second thought of the whole subject of personal life balance and rhythm of the day, because we think that because you're a lawyer, you can just do everything. Or your doctors have a similar syndrome, what I call doctor-lawyer syndrome, is basically that we are sort of above the rest of humanity in terms of what we can do. The simple truth is that we can't. And therefore, very important that we just try to be modest about what you think you can do, and then plan what is reasonably feasible in the day's activity, and then balance your life. So what I do is I even measure my emotional balance of the day. If you've got challenging files, then what I do is to take on just a difficult interaction with the client, a court hearing, or drafting, and then you try to limit the number of 10 situations of the day, and then you complete the day, and then you feel that you have reached the objective, and you have to tell yourself that you've done your part, and then the rest is to be done the following day after a good night's sleep. So you have to learn to unwind as well. So at the end of the day, you should have an unwinding strategy, namely, have you done what you wanted to do? What you didn't do, you're putting on the list for the following day, and then you be aware of the tension of the day and plan your activities. If you're doing, for example, your routine shopping that you have to do for the household, do it on your way to the house. Create a routine out of that, not, okay, well, you end your day finished, or you suddenly remember that you should get some beer, and you go to the grocery store or a liquor store in Canada, and you say, okay, I've got a new job to do in the evening, and I didn't plan ahead, so let me do it now in the evening. And you created a new job for yourself, which you could have been saved if you simply created a routine to finish your task properly on the way home, on the way to the office, etc. So planning your day completely should include other things you need to do to keep your physical and personal life, family life going in a normal fashion. So I think one of the more things before I conclude is that there are many gadgets available today that can help. All the programs that you have, like computer programs, they memorize, you can organize, your Google Calendar works effectively, everybody you're working with, you can communicate. The communication systems are much more efficient today, but more gadgets should not mean more tension. In fact, you have to be careful that you don't sit when you have a meeting. I see too many times people sitting in the phone, and so talking to you, they're looking at their phone and trying to do their phone work rather than talking to you. So all this balance of understanding the other people and doing your thing should be done in a reasonably balanced fashion. I hope that was helpful. You can join our group. Anybody can join the group, even if you're not a lawyer, but it's predominantly intended for lawyers and paralegals and articling students and public that is interested in doing understanding the legalities. And if you have any comments, please join. We also do CPD seminars, which are professional development lectures. And for those items like launching a practice in a particular new area of law, we will be doing a number of videos, including how to launch your practice. So in the next video that I do, I will give you some of the pointers for launching a video. Hope that was helpful. Thank you, and we'll see you again.